Iji Maragan, Ebona de FM 103.5 Ogidi, as I'm not drawing qua. I can Itu radio kede 103.5 Ogidi, Ebona de FM Kinumi Chara, Toboga the boy, Nikagani, power.
Listen to news updates on Ebonade 103.5 FM immediately after Angeles 6 o'clock a.m. and 6 o'clock p.m. weekdays. Stay tuned to be updated, to be informed. News updates, live reports. Ebonade FM breaks the news with actualities.
I believe that if we are hoping for a new Nigeria,
you can as well listen online via mixlr.com/GistFM.
Good evening and welcome to Abona, the 103.5 FM News Update. Today, Thursday, the 9th day of March 2023, and the time is a minute past the hour of 6. Martin Ifanshuku Ekezie is my name. The headlines. Ume to Soludo apologized to Anambra Obi. International Women's Day. I will prioritize women's needs. Weke pledges Enugu women. UNICEF begins rehabilitation of flood victims in Anambra. IPOB vows to resist enthronement of Fulani emirs in Southeast. Lagos Labour Party candidate Rhodes Vivo alleges plot to defame his character. Russian military unlikely to make major gains in Ukraine, say top US intel officials. Now, details. Ume to Soludo apologized to Anambra Obi. Anambra Central Senator-elect Victor Ume has said Anambra Governor Chukwuma Soludo and his All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA have no moral justification to seek votes for candidates in the Saturday's House of Assembly elections. He said Soludo and his party allegedly sabotaged the presidential candidate of the Labour Party LP, peterobi, in the just concluded presidential election. Ume, former APGA national chairman who defected to Labour Party after he was denied ticket by the party leadership. He asked Soludo to apologize to the people of the state, Obi, Ndibo, and Nigerians, and in a state broadcast before asking for their votes. Speaking in Anambra State, the lawmaker said that the people of the state have got no reward for enthroning Soludo as governor. He described as unnecessary Soludo's plea for votes, which he said was born out of fear of impeachment, urging people of the state to ignore such last-minute appeal and vote for Labour Party candidates in the Saturday's election. He said Governor Soludo should do a state broadcast and apologize to Anambra State, peterobi, Ndibo, and Nigerians for the leader of the new political movement in Nigeria, Mr. peterobi, before asking for votes for candidates of APGA in the state assembly election coming up on. Okay, then Soludo said that peterobi will not get 25% in 3 states, but according to INEC, peterobi got 25% in 20 states. But when they announced the real result, Obi will get 25% in 30 states. It is surprising and amusing that Governor Soludo is now desperate to call meetings and begging everyone to vote APGA so that he will not be impeached. But that is an exercise in futility. House of Assembly is not the property of anybody. No one will impeach him, but we need legislators that will check his executive recklessness. He should stop being afraid of his shadows and face his work and do well instead of pleading for rubber stamp lawmakers. The only way for democracy to thrive in Nigeria is when you have independent lawmakers. Soludo's arrogance should be checkmated. If he doesn't have a skeleton in his cupboard, then he will do his work with his executive power. Independent legislators are needed to stop his impunity. If he doesn't commit an impeachable offense, then he won't be impeached. Obi was a governor in his first term in office with no APGA legislator. When he was removed by the legislators, he came back through the court because he committed no impeachable offense, Ume stated. International Women's Day. I will prioritize women's needs. Where All Progressive Grand Alliance APGA governorship candidate in Enugu, Frank Nweke Jr., has pledged to prioritize women's needs if elected as governor. Nweke gave the pledge in a statement issued on Wednesday in Enugu to mark the 2023 International Women's Day. While congratulating the women in the state on the occasion of this year's International Women's Day, Nweke said that he honored and appreciated the gifts possessed by them. According to him, the theme for this year's day is out as it captures his thought on how to approach issues of women's empowerment in the state. We must meet everyone at her level and provide the specific opportunities and requirements they need for success. Our administration will be committed to affirmative action that improves the participation of women in government, civil service, and provide the necessary training and support to improve entrepreneurial ventures and businesses, he said. The Abga governorship candidate said that he had begun with the choice of Dr. Mrs. Wani as his deputy governorship candidate. With our combined experience and efforts, we are determined to deploy policies that will serve the interests of our women across family life, educational aspirations, technological literacy, business, politics, and generally as agents of societal change. In my tours across the state, I have found women to be most vulnerable to the dangers of poverty and economic regression. Mothers are the custodians of our future as they mostly determine how the lives of children will go. They are the primary determinants of their state of health, education, values, and beliefs. Therefore, they require the right training, education, and empowerment to effectively shape the society and the future in a very profound and fundamental ways, he said. The number of women who will become local government chairpersons and commissioners will be unprecedented because we will intentionally create policies that will make this possible, the governorship candidate said. UNICEF begins rehabilitation of flood victims in Anambra. The United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, has commenced the rehabilitation of flood victims in Anambra State. The organization yesterday flagged off a 3-month medical outreach in 10 local government areas of the state that were submerged by the 2022 flood. The reproductive health coordinator in the Anambra State Ministry of Health, Dr. Obianuju Okoye, who spoke with journalists during the launch of the program in Onitsha North local government area, said the program was a partnership between the Anambra State government and UNICEF. We are carrying out a 3-month medical outreach of flood-affected areas. There are 10 local government areas in all. We have 21 health facilities we are using as a hub from where we distribute medicals to various wards. This is fully sponsored by UNICEF, and Anambra State government is providing the manpower for the program. It is an integrated approach, and we are checking and giving care to HIV and cervical cancer patients. We are also diagnosing other ailments, she said. Okoye said among the rural people that have been attended to, many were found to have peptic ulcer, malaria parasite, pains, hypertension, and diabetes. UNICEF had late last year paid an assessment visit to the flood-ravaged parts of the state and mapped out ways of assisting flood victims with medication, water projects, and toilet facilities. IPOB vows to resist enthronement of Fulani emirs in Southeast. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has said it will fight against any plot to enthrone Fulani Emirates in the southeast region of Nigeria. IPOB further said that any politician or political party that is nursing the agenda should discard it because it will not see the light of day. The group made this known in a statement by its media and publicity secretary, Emma Powerful, on Wednesday. They partly read, "We indigenous people of Biafra IPOB under the leadership of Mazen Nande Kano warn against any plan to enthrone Fulani Emirates in the southeast, especially in Imo and Abia states. Any Igbo politician and party that has reached any agreement to enthrone Fulani Emirates in any Christian community in Biafra land will be resisted with everything we have." It is also lauded the move by the Abia State Governor Okeze Ibazu, who halted the development. We commend the proactive approach used by Governor Okeze Ibazu to stop the move by Fulani stooges to introduce Fulani Emirates in Abia State. We are calling on Igbo to reject and avoid any politician in any form of alliance with Fulani cabals. Those men should not be allowed into any state government's house in Biafra land. These desperate politicians are part of those sponsoring insecurity in the eastern region. We shall continue to expose them and shall never allow them to succeed, he stated. Lagos Labour Party candidate Rhodes Vivo alleges plot to defame his character. Governorship candidate of the Labour Party LP in Lagos State, Wedebo Rhodes Vivo, has raised the alarm over what to defame his character. He said the aim is to instigate the public against him and attract sympathy for the ruling party in the state. He explained that the plot is to get people to make confessional statements against him. His words, "I have just been tipped by a credible source in the intelligence community about a desperate attempt to frame me and malign my character. The plan, as I was told, was to burn another market, pretend to make arrests, and have those arrested make fake implicating me in the inferno. The architects of this grand conspiracy are convinced that such a damning confessional statement will instigate the public against me and save a candidate from a humiliating defeat this Saturday. Thankfully, some patriotic citizens in the intelligence community have taken great discomfort to reveal such an evil and clandestine plot. It is rather unfortunate that a party that claims to have a candidate with so much experience and competence have resorted to crude and medieval tactics to win re-election. Instead of campaigning on policies, programs, and projects that have impacted citizens' lives, they are fanning the embers of ethic bigotry and relying on a vicious propaganda machinery to spread lies, hate, and fear. Their deceit notwithstanding, the people of Lagos can see through their selfish desperation to hold on to power. Lagosians now know that they will do anything to keep power just to cover their shady dealings, protect their cronies, and continue to live outlandishly on the commonwealth of the people. And as Chief Body George announced to the world yesterday in a press conference, these evil people have now placed a bounty on my head. But my eyes are firmly set on the hills, and from the deep have I drawn much strength to persevere against the onslaught of the enemies. For on Saturday there shall be a deliverance of a people, a liberation of minds, and the rebirth of a great city, a city where dreams become reality and where great potentials are made manifest. I am the architect of a new Lagos, a departure from the old order. Today we can Lagos of our dreams. It is possible, he declared. Now we move over to the foreign scene. Russian military unlikely to make major gains in Ukraine, says top US intel officials. Now more than a year after he sent troops into Ukraine, Russia leader Vladimir Putin is beginning to accept his military shortcomings and adapt his strategies in hopes of eventually toppling Kyiv, according to top US intelligence officials. Testifying Wednesday at the Senate Intelligence Committee's annual worldwide threats hearing, the country's top intelligence officials said Russia's military have been battered in what has become a grinding war of attrition with Ukraine and is being forced to focus on more modest objectives. The Russians are making incremental progress in Bakhmut, which is not a particular strategic objective, but are otherwise facing considerable constraints, including personnel and ammunition shortages. US Director of National Intelligence lawmakers. If Russia does not institute a mandatory mobilization and identify substantial third-party ammunition supplies, it will be increasingly challenging for them to sustain even the current level of offensive operations, Haynes said. We don't see the Russian military recovering enough this year to make major territorial gains. They may fully shift to holding and defending the territory they currently occupy. Various estimates by the US and its allies contend about 200,000 Russian soldiers have been killed or are missing as a result of the now year-long war in Ukraine. And the US National Security Council said last month that even Russia's preeminent paramilitary force, the Wagner Group, has been hit hard with about 30,000 casualties, including 9,000 deaths. Hence, the top US intelligence officer said only that Russia is suffering from high casualty rates on the battlefield, adding US intelligence analysts don't see the Russian military recovering enough this year to make major territorial gains. The declassified intelligence report released as Hens and other officials testified further portrayed Russia's military as weakened and in some ways more dangerous. US intelligence agencies also see signs of Russia and China working, and though not necessary, together to weaken democracies across the globe. Officials warned about Moscow and Beijing are providing support specifically for would-be autocrats as they rise to power. But between Russia and China, it is Beijing that US intelligence see as the unparalleled priority. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, under President Xi Jinping, will continue efforts to achieve Xi's vision of making China the preeminent power in the East Asia and a major power on the world stage. Hence said, however, the CCP is increasingly convinced that it can only do so at the expense of US power and influence. Lawmakers echoed concerns about Beijing's tactics, voicing concern that a combination of US government policies and corporate attitudes are putting the US at a disadvantage. This is where we draw the curtain on news updates on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. But before we leave, a quick look at the headlines. Umetu Soludo apologized to Anambra Obi, International Women's Day. I will prioritize women's needs. Mweke pledges Enugu women. UNICEF begins rehabilitation of flood victims in Anambra. B vows to resist enthronement of Fulani emirs in Southeast. Lagos Labour Party candidate Rose Vibo alleges plot to defame his character. Russian military unlikely to make major gains in Ukraine, says top US intel officials. You just listened to news update on Ebona the 103.5 FM news, produced and read by Martin Ifan Shuku AKZ. Thank you for listening. Good evening.
Listen to news updates on Ebona the 103.5 FM immediately after
Thank you for
Angelus,
listening.
6
Like, share,
o'clock
or like.
AM
Thank you.
and 6 o'clock PM weekdays. Stay